Let's see. And then you could see in the comments.
Okay. Wow. Do I click on join the chat? Under
Yeah,
the
click on join
comments?
click join the chat. You should be able to see the comments when they come in. Just gonna
Okay.
make sure. Hold on 1 second here. Let me see. Just want to make sure that it's showing up.
I'm connecting my YouTube.
Okay. Hey everyone. Hi Brandy. If you guys could all drop a like, say hello, that'd be much appreciated. We're just gonna wait for more people to tune in. So there's 6 people in the chat right now. Just gonna.
Hi, Brandy. How can you see how many people are in the chat? This is completely new to me.
It's like on the top. It's like on the top left side of your, on your side.
Of the stream of StreamYard, or is it on YouTube?
It's on StreamYard.
Interesting. I don't see it. Maybe it's
Hi
because
Leo
I don't have an
Santero.
account and I haven't logged in.
You should be able to see it. I think you might have to, like, on the bottom, you see the little boxes of me and you. I think you also have to add like hit add stage if that comes up.
What do I have to hit?
Just go to your window, like go to your little image on the bottom left. If something comes up that says add stage, hit that.
Oh, I see. I see remove from stage.
Okay,
Edit
so then
name,
you're
edit
already
audio,
in.
avatar, stop, mic, and cam.
So wait, go to the comments on the top right. Hit comments to see if you see the comments. If you don't see the comments, I think you have to, like, do it
I see the
separately.
comments,
Maybe
yeah.
like, oh, you do see the comments? Like, there's 3
I
comments
see
in
it,
the
yeah.
chat so
That's
far.
okay. Yeah,
Okay,
I
so
see the comments. I just, yeah, I see it.
and on the bottom, you could write something. Like, on the bottom right, it says post a comment. You could write something.
Yeah, I see it. Okay.
Okay, so we're just gonna wait for more people
Yeah,
to
I see the
tune
comments. I
in.
just don't see how many people.
It's on the
Okay.
top left. It
You
should
just let me
say
know when
like,
you want to start.
you see on the top left it says live and there's like a countdown. It's right next to it. There's like an I and then there's like a number.
No, I don't see that.
Hi,
Yeah, I
Crystal.
don't see that for some
Okay.
reason.
Okay.
That's
Maybe.
okay. Hi.
Hi,
Oh, Brandy, you're so
Hi,
sweet.
Crystal. Let's see. I'm going to. I want to make this a. Hold on. Let's see. I'm gonna edit this. How do I make this a ticker? Yeah, like that. 16th. So if you guys could all drop a like and say hello, we're gonna get started. I do have a special guest with me right now, my sister. Basically, we're gonna, talk about our backgrounds and how we got into our spiritual journeys and stuff like that. Okay. She was basically a huge part in me starting my spiritual journey. So we're gonna probably just start at like 8 minutes and we'll start talking. We're just gonna wait for more people to tune in and just say hello and just make sure you drop a like just to get the algorithm going, you guys. Once.
Hi, Crystal.
Just gonna open it for her too. Hi Bessie, how are you?
Hi, Bessie.
Oh, it is.
Do you guys see the resemblance between me and Gary?
Uh, Make sure you guys all drop a like, okay? Well, well, I think people will tune in when they want to tune in. I hope you guys had a good day. I mean, it's like early Saturday morning here. Son. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, Friday night. Friday night in the States right now. Saturday morning in Asia.
Saturday morning, 9 p.m. It's like eight. It's like eight
Yeah.
nineteen here right
It's kind
now.
of breaking up a little bit.
Okay. I think it should be fine.
Yeah, it's 9:20 a.m.
For twins. You think so, Bessie?
No,
All right, guys, let's get started. So, you guys, I do have a special guest with me, my sister. So basically, we are going to talk about, a little bit about my background, her background, and how she was a huge part in me starting my spiritual journey. Yeah, this happened, I would say, I don't know, I think maybe 2016, 2017, I think. But I want to go back further than that. Like for me, like I always knew for myself, like I had like gifts, even as a young kid. Like I was very, very, very sensitive. Okay. Throughout my whole life, as a kid, as I got into my older adult life, like I always was able to see things, ghosts, spirits, and stuff like that. But at that time, I guess I didn't really have the guidance on how to like work with the gift. Um, and right now, that is kind of like one of the biggest challenges that I have to work through, is working on how to, manage my gift in a better way. And in 2017, I think, I forget which year, my sister had just gone to India to study meditation. So we both practice Vedic meditation. Okay. And she's a teacher in that. So when she came back, she taught me how to meditate. And since then, I've meditated every single day without missing a session, usually twice a day for at least 20 minutes. And since then, my senses or my gifts started to become more heightened. It especially became more heightened like during the pandemic. Okay. During that time, I was working I've worked in the insurance industry for a very long time, for at least 10 years plus. And, I didn't really know what I was meant to do in life. I kept getting fired from every single one of those jobs. I couldn't hold those jobs for a year. And I remember I got fired again during the pandemic. And since at that time, that's when I started doing this. I felt called. one day to go on Amazon to check out, I guess, what they were selling on there, and, one of the recommended items that came up was a tarot deck. I did buy the tarot deck, started playing around with it, and I thought it was just a lot of fun. Um, I felt I felt like I was myself, I felt like my calling had arrived. So basically I started practicing with the tarot deck with people, with friends and stuff like that, and a lot of people suggested that I start charging people, and I did. During the pandemic, I was only charging $20 for an unlimited amount of time. Um, and over time, my prices started to increase a little bit more, a little bit more. I didn't really start this channel until November 2020. Yeah. And when I started the channel, I was very scared to post anything on here. I didn't start my first post until December. And since then, that's the work that I've been doing. Since my sister taught me this to meditate, we've gone on retreats together in India. We've gone on retreats in New Mexico, basically exploring our higher selves, learning about meditation, doing deep spiritual healing work, such as like shamanic healing work and stuff like that. And yeah, and I myself do that type of work too. Um, Very seldomly because I still haven't really quite mastered on how to energetically have boundaries with spirit. Okay. So I would say I rarely do that type of work, but I do it when the time does come up. So yeah, do you guys have any questions about my background and what you guys want to know? You know, um, do you want to chime in, Kathy? Hello? Can you hear me?
I hear you.
Okay. Do you want to
I
chime
hear
in?
you.
Say
You're
some.
break. I mean, there's a bit of a lag, but it's eventually coming.
Okay. Well, do you want to chime in and say something?
Yeah. So from yeah, I think there's a little bit of a lag, but you can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, from my perspective about Gary's journey, and it's as we got into adulthood, where it became even more intertwined. But yeah, Gary has always been very sensitive, like the more sensitive child in the family, and the emotions he just it was so the magnitude was so big he didn't know how to handle it, and it all came to a realization of what exactly it meant when he lived in Hawaii. And for basically the whole time, the family knew this, and there were just varying degrees of understanding and support for him. Where his whole time living in Hawaii, I think it was 5 years, right? Um,
I
he
think
was just
no
seeing
more than
ghosts
that.
all around the island.
6.
Yeah.
I mean, just last night, like we
Yeah.
were I mean, just last night, we like my partner and I are in Thailand right now, and we were walking down the street, Kalasan Road, and at the end of the road, there's a temple, and there were these 8 figures that came up to me. They were like these traditional Southeast Asian masks that you see, and they came up, and I saw it, and I couldn't walk down that road anymore. I had to turn around because it freaked me out. So, yeah, that was a really interesting thing that happened to me last night. So, if anyone has been to
Hmm.
Thailand and Khao San Road, at the end of that road, there is a temple, and they all came out of that temple. Yeah. So, I do have a lot of experiences. Yeah. So, yeah, and like my sister said, when I was living in Hawaii, every single dorm apartment that I lived in, there was ghosts in there. Yeah. I would see I would experience a lot of hauntings and stuff like that. And just so you guys know, I myself sometimes I clear out haunted spaces. Yeah. So from time to time I do walkthroughs and stuff like that. Experience what has happened in that place for it to be infested with certain spirits, and then I work on removing it. So yeah, and now I mean I do see a lot of things. I would definitely call myself a medium, um, and a psychic too, not just like a tarot reader. But you know, I that this is something that I don't really know how to really quite, like I said, still manage, that I'm still struggling with, that, and I work on it all the time. I feel like if I have it better managed, I would be doing this work all the time, and I would love to. Right now, I just kind of like, whenever I feel called to, when I do feel safe, I will do it. So yeah. Oh, you do have the hardest time meditating, Cora B. Let me just tell you,
Hmm.
everyone
And
says
I
that.
think,
Yeah, my sister's gonna chime in about that, when it comes to meditating. Yeah, she could give you
yeah,
some tips
definitely.
about how to, so why don't you talk about that, Kathy?
Yeah. So for me, in the same way that everything started coming together for Gary after meditation, that's kind of the same pathway that I took also, where I was working in corporate America and, just like living a very typical lifestyle of, doing well at my job, getting promoted, and, you know, going to happy hour in Manhattan and just, living a lifestyle that was expected of me. And then I started meditating. It was because at this moment in my life, this is specific moment, I was consistently experiencing the same thing over and over again, but in different situations. And that was heartbreak. And it was heartbreak from a romantic sense, heartbreak from a very old friendship. It was like a friendship of over 15 years, a heartbreak from my best work friend. And within, I think, 3 months, this was happening over and over again. And at that time, I didn't meditate, but I knew that there was something there, that my worldview, how I was interacting with the world, there was something fundamentally wrong with it. And because I was experiencing this and I had no idea what it was, because I was going to a therapist at that time and I had no answers. So the last time that it happened, when I had a huge falling out with an old friend, came back to New York, went into the office the following day, told one of my work friends what happened, and she said, "Why don't you learn to meditate?" The My meditation teacher studio is just right around the corner from the office, and it's really helped me in my life. And I knew that every day at work she would run off kind of around 3 4 p.m. in the afternoon time, the afternoon slump when you feel like you have a dip in energy and you need coffee or a chocolate. So she would run off at that time every day to meditate. So I knew she had a meditation practice, and I was like, you know what, I'll do it. I was suffering so much. I think at that time, um, that last falling out, Gary, I was in Montreal. I texted you, remember? I was like
Mm-hmm.
emotionally in shambles. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
how can I get back earlier? Can I like book a bus? Can I book a last minute plane ticket? And you were helping me look. And it was New Year's Eve. So everything was booked. And shit, I have to stay here and deal with it and the emotional fallout. The following day, when I went back to work, my friend suggested this, and I was like, you know what? I am miserable. I am suffering. I don't know what to do with myself. I'll do anything. And I booked the meditation course, and it completely changed my life. It was so unexpected. In that first meditation, at the very end of those 20 minutes, I felt a profound sense of comfort. And it was both a physical feeling and a knowing. I felt something or someone wrapping like a blanket or this cozy, warm hug around me. And I felt and I knew that everything was okay. Has been okay and it will always be okay. And the feeling and the sensation and the message was just comfort, and you are held and you are fine. I was like, whoa, this is something here. I paid to learn the meditation course. And I was like, if I'm going to, this is the first meditation. I am going to not miss one. And for the first 2 or 3 years, I didn't miss a meditation. And life happens. Gary's been very disciplined. I think to this day you still haven't missed the meditation, right? Twice a day.
I have not missed, yeah, I have not missed a day, and twice a day. Even when I was working in corporate America, I would always find time to meditate. Always find time. And for me, when you do meditate and you consistently practice it every day, you get to the point where, our minds are always racing, right? You get to find that little, even though if it's for like a few seconds, your mind will able to be shut off. You could shut your mind off. It's possible. And the more that you do it, it will happen for a longer duration of time. And when that happens for you, you will definitely find a sense of self when that happens, okay? So, I feel like, people say that, hey, it's really hard for me to meditate because my mind is always racing and stuff like that. That is completely okay. You just allow your mind to race. It's just an indication that there's a lot of unprocessed emotions that you might be going through. Anything that you're going through in that moment in your life might be unprocessed. It could be past stuff that is unprocessed. Just allow your mind to race and let it go after it's done. Kind of ask yourself, I feel like anything that you do in life, even when it's meditating, you have to be really intentional about it. What do you want to bring in? What do you want to release? How do you want to connect to your higher self? Because meditation is the best way to connect with your higher self. Connecting with your higher self brings in what you want in life and what your purpose is in life. Okay, this also allows you to tap into your own higher power, your gifts here. So I always even and, I mean, since I started this channel, I've always have recommended people to meditate. Uh, my boyfriend meditates too. He hasn't really been consistent about it. Years ago, he was consistent for like 5 years, and then there was a stop, and then he just started meditating again. So, when you do meditate, it does also heighten your senses. It heightens your intuition too. It gives you the ability to sort of like, feel, sense, and hear better, or see things better. Okay. So I highly recommend that for anyone who is ready to go on a spiritual path of healing. Meditation is just not all about, silencing the mind, but also shedding away layers in our physiology, whether it's like traumatic experiences, trauma from like heartbreak. You allow yourself space to chip that stuff away as you meditate more. Okay. When I first meditated, it was a profound experience for me too. I felt my whole energy shift from kind of like a negative mindset, a pessimistic mindset of thinking, to a more positive mindset of thinking. So in those 20 minutes, my whole life completely shifted too. So it's definitely a very profound experience, and there's definitely different, like, meditations out there. I feel like for me, you just have to find one that really resonates with you. So, yeah. Do you have anything to say, Kathy?
Yeah. Yeah, the practice that what we practice is called Vedic meditation, and it's basically the same technique as transcendental meditation, which is probably a more well-known meditation practice name. But I highly recommend it. I am a teacher of that practice, of that tradition. I went to India and trained for 3 months in an ashram in order to teach people this, but I no longer do it. And maybe we'll talk about this at another time. It's a lineage that no longer resonates with me. It's not the path that I'm meant to walk. But if it resonates with you, I highly recommend that you look into this type of meditation because it takes your mind from a state of thinking into a state of being. And what does that even mean? Like most people can't even fathom what it means because a lot of the time what we experience is the mind on the level of surface level thinking, but the mind is actually like an ocean where at the top layer, there are these choppy level waves, and your mind moves from a lateral perspective, from thought to thought to thought to thought. It goes in this direction, wave after wave after wave, thought after thought after thought after thought. But we know that the ocean has this profound level of death. Once you go down, and there's a level of the ocean where there's no activity. Apparently, there's no activity in it. It's still uncharted territory. And eventually, you hit the bottom of the ocean floor. And what we experience in terms of the mind is just the top level, choppy level waves. But all of this uncharted territory is available to you. And that's when scientists say that we're only using, what is it, only 10% of our brain's capacity, and the rest is untapped. That is the rest of the mind's brainwave we don't always tap into. And so this meditation practice helps us tap into those brainwaves that are profoundly restful, and they're deeper than the thoughts that we experience on a daily basis. So what happens is it introduces a mantra on the layer of the thought where all of the waves exist, and that mantra, um, it is a sound, doesn't have a meaning, that's naturally occurring in nature, and it's a vibration. It's so pure that it doesn't mean anything, but it's a vibration that occurs in nature. And what happens is that sound has vibration and resonance to it, that its value is so much more than the daily thoughts that we have, like, we have to go to the grocery store, have to do these chores, things like that. So when you introduce that mantra at the surface level of the thought, what happens is, if you think about a trampoline and you have a bunch of marbles, these marbles are all of your thoughts. That mantra, its weight and its magnitude, is its power is so much more than your daily thoughts, that it's like introducing a bowling ball in the middle of the trampoline. And when you introduce a bowling ball to that trampoline, what happens is it brings everything and curves inward. So when your mind curves inward, it no longer moves at this level, like this. And that is kind of like a trapdoor for your brain to experience these deeper level, deeper states of awareness, deeper states of just being, deeper states of consciousness. And it's an investment. You have to learn from a teacher. That is the only way that it's taught anywhere around the world. I'm no longer a teacher of it, but there are many teachers around the world. Even though I'm no longer a teacher, this is not necessarily the spiritual path that I'm meant to walk. I still highly recommend it because it's such a powerful technique. It dissolves stress in the physiology, heightens sensitivity, all of that. A lot of people, they can't sleep through the night, they have insomnia. I mean, there are all these studies about how amazing this meditation technique is. And truly, for myself, for Gary, for the friends that I've recommended this technique to, they've experienced profound benefits. Now, not every meditation technique will resonate with you. There are just so many. What I would say is just try out different ones. If you make an investment and you pay X amount of dollars to learn meditation, instead of playing a free YouTube video that's a guided meditation, you're going to be like, you know what? I made an investment in this. I'm going to get every penny's worth. That's exactly my mindset when I first learned this meditation. I was just like, I paid a lot of money for this. I'm going to get every single meditation in to experience the benefits that this teacher told me about. And that was the best investment that I ever made in my life. But if you're not ready for an investment, if it doesn't resonate with you, what I can say about meditation is, there's a misconception about it. Gary mentioned earlier that it's about quieting the mind. And then you're like, I can't quiet the mind. And so therefore I can't meditate and I'm a failure. It's not for me. And I think that, I don't know where that comes from. That is an outcome, a state that you can reach in meditation, but it's incredibly rare. It would slice of what a meditation outcome could be, meditation in its essence is like training and discipline for your mind. So the practice that we teach, the practice that we do, Vedic meditation or transcendental meditation, if you want to Google and look up and see what it's about. But they have these prayer beads, and they go like they say these mantras out loud, like and those are called japa mantras. So it's a different mantra meditation, or you can use breath. You can tool whatever vehicle you use for meditation. It doesn't even really matter. What matters is you use that tool, and in the meditation, you close your eyes. And actually closing your eyes and being in silence is amazing because it's a form of sensory deprivation. And if you've been in those sensory deprivation pods where it's completely dark, you're floating in the salt water to cleanse your body, to cleanse your energy, things like that, there's just so many profound benefits, and your senses are heightened too. So you just become more attuned to the other senses that haven't been shut off. But yeah, meditation, the point here is that closing your eyes, being in silence, is a form of sensory deprivation. So you shut off some senses and your other senses become heightened, and you just sit there with the awareness, and it is a great practice in itself. But when you introduce a vehicle, a tool like breath, like mantra, like feeling the sensations in the body, what happens is the mind will do what the mind wants to do, which is think. It is designed to do that. If it's not thinking, then this is exactly what it's supposed to do. So if you're focusing on the breath, and all of a sudden you realize, oh wait, I'm thinking about my to-do list. I have to get this at the grocery store. I have to do this for the kids, so on and so forth. And you have a realization that, wow, wait, hold on, my mind is not focused on the breath anymore. That moment of realization that you're off the focus of the breath, that is meditation. And the act of realizing that and then gently going back to the breath, that is meditation. So that is the mental discipline that exists in all meditation practice, anything that you use. So it's not even about emptying the mind. It's the discipline of, there is a North Star there in your practice, and the realization that you are off of the anchor and you go back to the anchor. That's how I like to define it. And that's a way to frame it so that if your
Someone
mind
asks,
is not empty, if your mind, it's the same way of being out in life, and if your boss all of a sudden like yells at you for messing up and doing all these things, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, I am a screw up, I like don't know how to do things right, the boss is right. But then you have a realization that it's just like, wait, hold on, why am I giving my power away to this person? And like you go back to yourself, you're like, no, this person is speaking from their traumas. This is not representative of me, and this is what he's reporting to other people about his internal state right now. And so I know that I'm this person, I'm competent, I'm kind, I can do this stuff. So the realization of, wait, hold on, this is happening outside of me. I'm no longer connected to the essence of who I truly am. And now I realize that the boss is yelling at me right now. This doesn't matter. I'm coming back to myself, and I find peace in knowing who I am. So, in the same way that you practice it outwards of like something outside is happening and it's like taking away my attention, but realize that I am off center of like going back to a North Star that refuels you, gives you power, and reminds you of who you truly are. Meditation, the mental discipline aspect of that. And when you do it over and over again, you have a daily practice of like realizing you're off of the vehicle, you're going back to the vehicle, and then you find that discipline and that peace in that again. This is a practice where it's from the most subtle aspect of your mind and what you practice on a daily basis of going back to your true north, your center, then you start realizing and start seeing that in your outer world, it really doesn't matter what you choose for your meditation practice, as long as something resonates with you. But there is that realization. First is awareness, and then it's the discipline of going back to that vehicle that'll anchor you. That is meditation. And so anyone can do this, 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day. Some meditation, 5 minutes of meditation is better than no meditation at all. What Gary is really good at in meditation, but like one of the reasons why he's really successful in and people like resonate with him is his consistency and how he shows up for his channel, for all of you guys, the face of God. Like I have known profound peace in my heart and my soul. That can be an outcome of it, but the consistency in your meditation practice is the most important. That will, every month, if you contribute even a little bit, $40, $50 to your 401k, and then 20 years later, you're like, oh my gosh, I have $1.5 million. It's because of the compounded benefits. Meditation is the exact same way. In these little things, in these little ways that you are investing in your mental, emotional, spiritual well-being, just for like 10, 15, 20 minutes, however many minutes a day you have to dedicate to this, in these little ways, you'll realize in 20 years, you've become a completely different person. So it's compounded benefits and it accumulates little by little, just like a 401k, just like investments. What time of day
Someone
do you guys
asked a
typically like to
question.
meditate?
Yeah.
Well, I think Gary and I would say the same.
Yeah, morning and then do one midday.
I would
Like
say
around,
first thing in the morning.
yeah, when you wake up. And then for me, I do another one around like 1 p.m. or 2 p.m. Yeah. But also, like the recommended is 2 times a day for 20 minutes. But if you feel called to do like an extra one during the day, like a third one, that's okay too. But try not to do like overdo it. But if you feel called to it, if your body is like, hey, I need more of this, then go for it. Whatever feels comfortable for you. But I would say the first thing when you wake up and then do another one midday. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for the meditation practice that we do, it's 20 minutes twice a day. And Russell Simmons actually also practices this meditation practice. And he says that I don't do shit in I don't do shit unless I meditate. He's just like, I have to meditate and then I go out into the world. So tactically, what that looks like for us is, we wake up, empty bladder, brush our teeth. If you want to freshen up your face, like, wash your face just to like get the night off of your face and just to have that clean feeling. That's what we do. And then we go into meditation, even before your phone. So at a certain point, I would wake up just to check the time and then, check emails and things like that. And it would be 30 minutes, 45 minutes gone. What I would notice is that when I would check my phone, before meditation, I I would feel this kind of unsettled, chaotic energy. Whereas if I wake up and I do my meditation and I go about my day, I mean, my nervous system is just so much more settled, so much more settled. So you want to prioritize um, connecting to this deep inner peace before you give your energy and your time out into the world, because the world, what it's going to demand of you and what it's going to ask you is going to be endless, absolutely endless. It's like a black hole. So I say first thing in the morning before the world um, demands anything of you is the best gift that you can give to yourself. And the
Mm-hmm.
twice a day thing. So in slump at around 3 or 4 p.m. and you say you need a coffee, you need a chocolate, that's a great time to meditate and get a natural boost of energy. Yeah,
All right.
absolutely, Bessie. That's how I feel too.
So, do you want to talk about like what you're working on, and then we could do like a Q&A after to wrap up the live?
Yeah, so I think when people hear about me and Gary and the journey that we've been on, when we started our spiritual journey, it was at first I just went off on my own. I did the meditation teacher training, and then I taught Gary, and that's when he started. We started kind of merging and exploring this path together. And even in our exploration, going on retreat in India with the meditation tradition and the practice that we teach, it's an Indian-based tradition from a 5,000-year-old lineage. Um, it's very ancient, this knowledge and this practice. And also when you look for spiritual techniques, spiritual practice, spiritual knowledge, look at the source and look at the purity of how it's been preserved. The Indian lineages have been some of the most preserved ancient bodies of knowledge in our modern world, and that's why it's such a powerful technique. But yeah, when Gary and I went on retreat together in India, and then we found another spiritual teacher out in New Mexico, and for a span of time, it was a few years, we just kept on going out to New Mexico to go on these retreats to do this spiritual healing work. All of his abilities came online. Not all of them. I mean, it all came together. What it was, why he was able to do what he was doing, what he was connecting with, what the effect was, and being um, a witness to that, being a part of that process was really profound, because like seeing how Gary works also showed me in a way of what my path was. So even though we're brother and sister, there's obviously something in our family lineage where spirituality is a part of it. We both have a mission. Um, in my own way, I was able to find out what my mission was, and it's very different from Gary's. Um, I don't have the same relationship as he does with the divination system of tarot, although I highly respect it as a powerful ancient tool. Gary is a shaman, and he can go and traverse the upper world, middle world, and underworld, and especially going into the underworld and clearing out all of this energy in a way that a lot of people, even in the spiritual world, are. I wouldn't say afraid, but in the spiritual world, there's a lot of love and light, and it's great. But the darkness also has to be explored in order to be integrated, so that the full spectrum of our being can be expressed. Because if we're afraid of something, then that also will dictate our lives and unconsciously. But Gary, he's able to go into the underworld, and that's a part of his shamanic path. For me, it doesn't look like that, and that's okay. Some people are just not meant to go into these realms. um, I am more of the path of the heart, the divine feminine. And I know these are buzzwords in the spiritual community that everyone uses very loosely, but it is true. I'm very connected to the waters. I've been studying water for the past 5 years, and water is connected to the emotions and to the divine mother. And there are moments where realizations of Mary Magdalene and Aphrodite and just these divine feminine goddesses have made itself clear to me about what my path is and what I'm meant to do. And so it's not necessarily about women, but working with feminine energy and the restoration of it, and honoring the beauty that is inherent in all of life, and the just like the beauty of feminine energy that needs to be restored on this earth that has been desecrated by patriarchal systems. My background is in corporate America. I worked in corporate America for a span of time, rose up the corporate ladder, was in marketing in New York City. And it took me 3 times of quitting corporate America in order to do this, and really fully stepping into my path. But it was as an essential part of my path where now I'm meant to weave corporate and spirituality all into one. And it's not necessarily corporate. It's about what we do for work, because we need a structure, we need a container that will support us throughout life and in what we do and in our mission. And so, what we do in work is also incredibly important. And how can we go about life working, whether or not it's our life's mission? It doesn't even matter, but in the healthiest way possible. And so the divine feminine, everything that comes with it, tuning into your emotions, like dancing and bringing art forth into the world. Absolutely beautiful, absolutely amazing, so necessary to the world. But at the same time, if you don't have a masculine structure in your life to hold you, so the masculine is a container, and basically it provides the structure, this protection, these boundaries in order for the feminine to exist within. If there isn't a structure, there's going to be energetic leaks. And that's what Gary knows this very well, that he's been very honest about what he's working on. As we're all human, we all have a mission, we all have things that we have to work on in order to evolve. And he's been very transparent about what he needs to work on at this moment from a spiritual perspective. From a spiritual perspective, what I need to work on is I was so imbalanced from a feminine perspective, where I didn't have boundaries. It was just like everything was like permeating outside. And I was taking on energy, and it was just, it was debilitating. Things were really heavy, and still, I haven't fully hacked it. But in that experience, I understood how important it was to have a structure in order to hold me so that I can surrender to my feminine. And so basically, from that experience, what I've put together in terms of all my learnings is that it's so necessary for whoever to have a structure to hold you, because whether or not someone is conscious of it, we are born into a structure, we are born into systems. Whether it's your familial system, it's your cultural system, it's your community system, and then we get fed into the education system and your work system, things like that. The system that you exist within dictates your reality, and it demands of you, depending on how strict it is, a certain level of conformity you to receive the benefits within the system. Because whenever an organism does not conform within a system, it rejects it. So basically, when you exist within a system and you conform to it, but that system actually has a lot of toxic things, toxic variables that's negatively affecting your well-being, your mindset, your emotions. So we see this a lot, where eventually, if it goes unchecked, people experience burnout. This is a systemic issue. And what I've seen is I've been burnt out before, not because of work, but also, with responsibilities with life. If you have a child, if you have to manage the home, if you have to manage aging parents, um, you know, you exist also within a system where you also have to uphold a lot of responsibilities. If the system doesn't uphold you in terms of nourishment, in terms of reach, to your detriment, then that system needs to be reorganized. So, as much as I am, my mission is about the divine feminine and in the flow and things like that, that is just not sustainable and not practical unless you have a structure to hold that in place, and you have a healthy structure that doesn't deplete you, that doesn't have a level of toxicity, people including. So if there are people around you that just constantly brings you down, that drains your energy, you have to look at it every single variable from that perspective. Design a system that you can exist in, that nourishes you. You can input all of the things that you enjoy. Is it music? Is it dance? Is it cooking? Because you are being held. And what does that system? It is your time. It is what you eat. It is the people that you surround yourself with. But it's also how you make money as well. And with meditation, what happens with Gary is that he worked for himself now, where it's able to sustain him while he explores his spirituality and while he travels and brings you, travel tales of like what he's up to at this moment. And he's created a system that can support him in this exploration. And so this is something that I have been exploring within myself for the past few years, that I really had to learn some hard lessons in. And I've put all of this learning, I started writing it all down, because it was a reminder for myself. um, I was learning this along the way, and I started rearranging all of it, and I was like, wait a minute, is this a book? Wait a minute, I can't write a book because, like, you have to, it's like 200 pages, it's too much of a discipline. Then I started creating a curriculum, and I was just like, everything that I taught myself, there's just many other people I feel like that would benefit from it. So yeah, this is what I'm working on right now. And I am putting together a masterclass, um, that's going to, I believe it's going to be next week. And it'll be in about an hour, and it'll go through some of what I've learned in terms of creating these systems in your life in order to live a life without stress, without being depleted, without burnout, so that you can, do what you enjoy, and you can engineer the life that you want just based on tweaking these variables here and there. Um, so that's what I'm working on right now, and I'm really excited about it. It's basically the fundamentals of energy management from a systemic standpoint. And so we're going to talk about spirituality, but we're also going to talk about how this can be implemented in your life from a tactical standpoint. Because a lot of times, what I see in spirituality is that it's very up here. It's very like, we are all one and you are being held by the creator, which is all true. And it's one layer of reality, but on another layer of reality, we have to run errands, we have to like actually like do the things like in life and implement it, so that your actions that you implement on the physical has a reverberating effect on the higher and the spiritual. So it change happens from the top down and from the bottom up. So all of this that I've learned within myself, it's time to put it out into the world. It was 9 years since I started meditating, and I've been going to these retreats and accumulating all of this experience, all of this knowledge. Um, I've had these struggles of being incredibly sensitive, incredibly open, absorbing energy, not having the systems to hold me while I explore all this within myself. And I've basically condensed it into a masterclass. And, I'm almost done with it. If you guys are interested in joining in, we can do a live stream on Gary's channel as kinds of, you know, a bonus or a freebie for his audience and for you guys, because I know how much you guys like his content. So this is like um, a complimentary to all of the content that you're used to, where we are talking about energy, we are talking about spirituality, but from an energetic and a systemic standpoint, so that you can get some tools to start engineering your life so that you can remove the energy drain and implement things that give you energy. And it'll be more sustainable from a root level systemic standpoint.
Okay. So you guys, we my sister will do a master class on Tuesday, April 29th at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you guys are interested, you could feel free to join it. It's yeah, it's free. And just, if you guys are interested in joining, just pop in. Yeah. Perhaps you guys could learn something, gain something out of it, and see if it's the right thing for you. Um, so hold on one second here. Oh, you're welcome, Betsy.
Yeah, it'll be the same format. If you join in the same way that you joined into this live stream, yeah, and so it's completely free, and I'll just basically be sharing exactly what I was learning with my experiences these past few years, so that you guys can benefit too.
Do you guys have any questions
Are
that
you
you
going to be
have
putting
for
an
us that do you
announcement
want
out just as a
answered?
reminder?
Yeah, I will put it on my community tab. You should let people know how they could connect with you or something like that.
Okay, great. Yeah, any questions about spiritual path, you know, these retreats, what we learned, what's coming up?
Let's see. Just any questions, you guys, before we sign off here? Mm-mm-mm. All right, you guys. Should we give it a few more minutes before we sign off? Just to see if anyone has questions? Oh, it looks like there's a Oh, hi, F.
I think if you have any questions, maybe they can also write a comment under your announcements. Is that a possibility?
Uh, if someone writes a question, I could show it and it'll show up like this. How do you get rid of bad energy? Look, Sophie. Do you see the question?
Sophie, what do you mean by bad energy? Is it a feeling that you feel? Is it, and like, do you see something? Is it someone in your life where you feel energy drain? Can you tell us more about it?
Let's see. Yeah, you gotta be a little bit more specific about the bad energies. Oh, there we go. She says, detaching from bad energy someone has passed on to you. I guess it's like entities and attachments and stuff like that. I think that's what she means.
It could also be cords too, energetic cords.
It could be cords, yeah. You have to you have to work on that on an energetic level. Yeah, to cut away these attachments from you. I mean, for me, you could try this. You could basically meditate on this and envisioning these cords being cut, okay? Being cut away. But if that does not work, if you're trying to do this yourself, you can. Over time, it does chip away. But if you're looking for something quicker, I would highly recommend working with a Reiki healer or a shaman. Usually, depends on your situation. It could be a one-time done thing, but sometimes if it's like kind of like a deep infestation, okay, you do have to go through several sessions of clearing in order for it to be all cleared out. Yeah, another thing that you could do, like BLM says, is to return to sender, call back your energy. So let's say if someone is pinging you bad energy, okay? Basically envision yourself in a bubble, in a force field, being protected. Okay. This is kind of like your energetic boundary. So anything that comes towards you that doesn't belong to you, it just pings back to the other person. Okay. That's another thing that you could try too. But yeah, you it's important, like, if it's, like, a really bad, like, attachment or something like that, you have to work with someone in order for you to get rid of it. Like I said, you could do it yourself and give it a shot to see how you feel after you do it, but if you still feel some sort of attachment after you've worked on it yourself, you have to basically work with a Reiki healer or a shaman. So no, Olivia, we're not doing free personal reads. We're just kind of doing Q&As about, questions about spirituality, questions about healing and stuff like that. So, um, that's a good question around the world in 80 blinds. Is there a spiritual path possible without using meditation? Yes, but part of our spiritual path is getting in touch with our higher selves. So if you don't have that tool to get to a place of connecting with your higher self, like, your spiritual path won't be as deep and profound. You can, but it's kind of like getting into that really deep place of, like I said, connecting with your higher self, right? So, do you want to chime in on that, Kathy?
It's it's possible. It is possible, but it'll be harder because meditation is a tool to for you to drown out the world, for
Yeah.
you to prioritize yourself in favor of that rather than the demands of the world that is never ending and it's just basically a black hole of demands. Um, so how can you find a higher path that is higher than, so there is always something greater that we strive for, whether or not we're conscious of it. We're always working towards something. We want something. There are certain desires that is greater than the existence that we live now. So if you want more money, if you want a job, if you want a certain relationship, there's just always a greater value that we have in our consciousness that we want to experience in our life. It's a lot easier to see that and to experience that when you are in a state of peace and silence and without distractions. And the root of all mental emotional and spiritual discord and distractions starts on the level of the mind and what you consume. So if you shut off the world and give yourself that time to experience peace and clarity, easier for you rather than, trying to figure it out in the midst of all the noise. It is possible. I've heard of stories where, someone's not on the spiritual path and um they take psilocybin, right? Ayahuasca. These extremely powerful plant medicines that indigenous cultures, especially in South America, native cultures have taken for centuries and generations. These medicine men and medicine masters have passed down for generations. It is possible, but what happens, especially in this modern society, is if you take this plant medicine and you have these profound insights of love and of acceptance and forgiveness and gratitude, and like if you experience that value not from an intellectual level but from an experiential level, like you feel it, you feel this lesson, that is going to change the foundation of who you are um forever. However, if you go out into the world and don't have a consistent practice of silence, what happens is you're not building, there isn't that opportunity for you to build upon that experience and that insight. So, for example, if I experience this today on psilocybin and I realize that, like acceptance and forgiveness is really the key for me to live a good life in this moment. And then the following morning, I have a meditation and I go back to that lesson. And then I have another realization, and the lessons start to unfold little by little by little by little. So it's the same way as the Vipassana meditation, where if someone goes on a 10-day silent retreat, like people don't live like that, they have to talk, they have to do things in the world, but you're sitting there for 10 days in silence and just as a ascetic. It's not something that we can sustainably integrate into the world. And then after that 10-day silent retreat, you go back into the world and you're like, okay, like I have to do things. I can't just sit in silence. It's the same way as without meditation, maybe 10 minutes, 20 minutes a day. Like you have that realization and it's like that profound moment once in your life. How are you going to integrate it on a daily basis? Little by little by little by little. Meditation is a sustainable way to do that. It is possible. I mean, why make it harder for yourself if you want clarity, if you want peace, if you want this in your life, and just to invest in having moments of peace, giving yourself moments of peace throughout your life.
Yeah.
The
Are
silence. So when people say that nothing is happening in meditation, there's so much that can be experienced. Silence is not actually silence, because when there is silence, you can see your thoughts and you can hear your thoughts and you can feel your sensations so much more profoundly. And it's eventually your sensations will heighten. So the silence is actually an echo chamber that will magnify aspects of yourself to you so that you can confront them. Because without awareness, you can't even begin to solve problems.
mm-hmm. Yeah. Is there anyone else that have questions?
Crystal, are you talking about an NDE, a near death experience?
I
Sounds
think
like a
she
near death experience, right, Gary?
no, I think she what she meant what she means is that she like passed away maybe for like a few minutes and then she came back. Oh, okay, it's a near death experience. Okay. Wow.
Yeah, that's a near death experience. Yeah. So I don't know how traumatic it was. I know there are grades of NDEs. I was speaking to someone recently who had an NDE, um, and it was so profound for him. From what I've heard, I've personally never had an NDE, so I can't say this experientially.
Wow, who told you to come back? Oh,
Wow.
was it a higher power that told you to come back? Or was it from someone from like the physical world?
So this is also another way. I'm getting goosebumps just reading this, Chris. Chris. This is also another way that that puts people on a spiritual path too, where their worldview about life, of themselves, of their world, is
Oh,
completely
wow.
changed.
So a
Yeah.
little girl spoke with her eyes, not with her mouth, and said to go back. Everything will be okay. Oh, oh, wow. Spoke with her eyes. Hmm. It was God. Wow.
They're so I mean, I can't speak about this experientially. You guys are the experts in this since you've
Yeah, because you guys
experienced
had the
it.
experience. Yeah.
Yeah. But what I would say is I've encountered a lot of NDE experiences, and none of it is an accident. It's kind of like a slip in reality
Mm,
where, we experience like this reality, and then there are just so many layers of reality. And you guys experienced another slip and you came back. And there's a reason why you came back, and your contract, your mission, whatever you're meant to do right now, it's not over yet. And if you really feel a calling to do something, however logical it is, you just don't know where it came from, just do it, because now you experience how much support you have, and failure is not an option, because if you didn't if you came back, like, it's success is guaranteed. You just have to fulfill your mission. This is why you came back.
mhm,
So, like, be fearless in what you have to do and what you feel like you were called to do, because you have the support, like, of a higher divine power, something greater than yourself, that maybe maybe you don't know at this point what brought you back. I mean, you were literally resurrected from the other side to come back into this life so that you can fulfill a mission. So, what I would say is to be fearless and just do what you need to do, and just know that
mhm.
failure, you're not going to fail. It will be accomplished,
Wow.
and you're the conduit for it.
Does anybody else have any questions before we sign off here? Mhm. Let's give it like a minute or two.
And I think for the people who are joining,
Wow. So how long was it for? So it sounds like it was more than 20 minutes.
And Chris, I'm wondering if you have a meditation practice.
I felt and I could see the doctors. Oh yeah. Wow. And do you meditate yourself?
Because when you said it's hard to live in this world knowing the peace I felt on the other side, still trying to find peace on this side, I know what you mean. It's like, I know what you mean. It's so chaotic here. But that's,
Well, the peace, I mean, the peace that we seek, we also embody that ourselves too, because we are spiritual beings having a human experience in this realm. It's just a matter of tapping into it. And I feel like you have direct access to it because you've been there already. Yeah, you could tap into that again. So, yeah, I mean, Chris, I, I mean, everyone, for me, I didn't meditate because the logic was for me, it was hard for me to meditate. But once you start doing it and you're consistent about it, it will completely change your life. Yeah, it will completely change your life.
yeah, the peace is available to you. Now, you can access it through a different brainwave. It's been a while since I've looked at this, but I think it's the theta and the delta brainwaves. If you're able to activate those brainwaves, those are deeper levels of the mind, and that's the state of meditation, REM, deep sleep, profound insights, awakenings, things like that. Meditation is one way to access it. It sounds like this was such a significant event in your life, Chris, this near death experience, that you're still unpacking it and you're still trying to find that peace. That peace can be available to you. Meditation is the way to do it. I
Mm.
cannot recommend enough Vedic meditation. I'm going to post it here. I'm not getting a referral. I'm no longer a teacher of it, but it's been so revolutionary for me that I think if it resonates with you, please feel free to look to see if it's for you. It is an investment, but it's the best money that I've ever paid in my life.
Sophie has a question. To be quite honest, for me, I don't really know what that means. What does it mean when you get tingle feelings in your legs that feel itchy, but it's nothing to do with medical? This
Itchy.
is spiritual. Yeah.
Well, the tingling is. I would have answered one way with the tingling, but the itchiness.
Yeah, but the itching thing is like, I don't know what that is. Yeah.
Like I don't know. Maybe you like have to scratch it also at the same time. But like Gary, do you remember like the tingling with the Kundalini?
Yeah, the tingling feeling in your lower
Yeah.
abdomen. Yeah,
Or where?
it's definitely like it's kind of like a purification. It's energy moving through your body that just needs to be released when you feel that tingling feeling. Okay. Yeah, you may feel it in your legs, you feel it in your lower abdomen, you feel it in your pelvis, and it kind of moves its way up through your body. But the itchiness, I'm not really quite sure what that is. Yeah. I mean, it could just be that you're itchy. I don't know. Yeah. So,
Could be.
uh, yeah.
When it tingles, it gets to the point where you need to itch. Oh, so it's kind of
Mm,
like very
you know
interesting.
what? No, I think there's definitely some sort of attachment that's on her. Yeah. So she's
There is.
trying to move this energy, but it's creating there's definitely a resistance in her that's pulling that energy down. And that's why it's itchy. Yeah, it's almost like the way that I would describe it is it feels like it's like an ant or that there's ants in you.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I'm seeing it in the lower part of your back. Okay. So I don't know if you're feeling the itchiness in your buttocks area, okay, or your upper thighs, or it just kind of trickles down. But you do need to work with the energy worker to sort of clear that. Yeah. So
I would also say that there are certain people who are well versed in certain things in the energetic world. Like some people are just better than me at getting energy off of me. Gary is one of them. Like when we're in the same place, when we're in New York together, and I was just like, okay, I just got a, a massage session, and I do not feel something happens where I just don't feel well after this. And he like saw what it was, and he's like, they didn't have clean, energetic, hygiene, like session after session, client
It's
after
like
client,
spiritual
and
hygiene.
they were like the massage therapist was transferring some like what was left over from the previous session all over to me, and Gary has the ability to look at what the hell it is and remove it, and it was basically like ticks. And
Mm.
this is just to say that, find someone who is can see these things, that can take these things off of you. It's so easy for them. I'm not one of them, by the way. Like these are not my this is not my ability at this point. Um, or it doesn't show up in that way. But I also want to say how common it is. That sometimes it'll naturally fall away, especially if you have the awareness of it, that it's tingling and there's the itchiness. And now that you know how it is, Gary just described it for you. Now you can, like, whenever you feel it, you can visualize and take it away yourself. If it doesn't work,
Hmm.
find someone who is well versed, someone like Gary, and that you trust. But just know that there's nothing wrong with you, and this stuff is incredibly common. Like
It's
I've
common. I mean, I get attachments too. So, everyone, anyone could get it. It's just a matter of like, kind of like being aware of it and just, working on it yourself to see if you could get rid of it. But it's pretty common. I mean, you could pick up something by going to the supermarket. Maybe there was something that was left over on an apple and you grab it, and then you pick something up. So sometimes most people are not really aware. But yeah, wait,
yeah,
that,
the ways that how it can happen is, yeah, like someone doing a massage on you and they don't have
mm,
cleansing techniques in between. What can also happen is if the mind exists too much in the past or in the future and not in the present, it creates a vacancy. It's like a hollowness um, for something else to enter. And so one of my friends, she does this work, and she says that when you go back and you revise like a contract or something, like your agreement with someone, you want to do it as soon as possible. You want to do it as quickly as possible because uh, that revision, you're going backwards. But you want to do it as quickly as possible because the longer that you stay in the past, the longer that if you're not there, something else, it's like unconsciously will occupy that space. It's in the same way that if someone in their past has abandonment issues or something with their family and they are not aware of it and don't address it, and that abandonment manifests itself in the outer world, that aspect of yourself has been abandoned, and because it's been abandoned, something else will occupy it. So this
mm,
is how the unconscious, the subconscious, will dictate your life too. And that's another way for, it's like black holes kind of within ourselves. And that's why it's so important to meditate and to be aware of our internal makeup so that the subconscious is not
don't hear
dictating our
me,
daily reality.
my love. Betsy has a good question here. Look, is there a particular technique that you guys would recommend and how to start to meditate and best position place to do so?
So for me, it's definitely Vedic meditation. Um,
Me
I
too.
Yeah, we get no referral from this. This is just something that has changed our life. We like get no bonuses by saying this. I'm no longer part of the community either. Um, but if time if money is something, if it's not something that you can invest in right now for your meditation practice that you recommend, you know who has really good meditations that I've been told I haven't done? Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Oh yeah, he does. You should look him up. He's on YouTube, so
He has a lot of great content, a lot of free content.
yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
the author of Becoming Supernatural. I'll also recommend this book too. Supernatural by Dr. Joe Dispenza. He has meditations for everything, and I believe a lot of this content is free.
Yeah.
It's about
Just go to his
rewiring.
YouTube channel.
Mhm. It's very, a lot of it is science based too, because he does have a science background and he merges the science and spirituality of all of it so well. But
Hmm.
Vedic meditation, it's just, if it resonates with you, and
Hmm.
best positioned place to do so. Well, I mean, for Vedic meditation, I always like sit on a couch or on a bed with pillows propped up, and I just like lay back. You know, the posture of like sitting upright on a pillow where like you're completely rigid, that's not a part of um, our meditation practice, because if your body is not relaxed, your mind can't be optimized for relaxation as well. That's the mentality. So you want to be comfortable, your body wants to relax so that the mind can do its thing. But
Yeah.
there is validity in physical discipline too, where at a certain point, that physical discipline will affect the mind in having that mental discipline.
I mean, for me, I would sit up with something leaning to support your back. That is a great way to meditate. But also, like, if you feel called during your meditation to like lay down, you could go ahead and lay down.
And
Yeah.
take a nap. It's
So,
amazing.
yeah, take a nap, whatever feels right for you. So sometimes, when you do meditate, it turns into like a nap. Yeah. Like I find myself meditating for 20 minutes and then after that I sleep for a little bit. Yeah. So,
Yeah, post meditation naps are incredibly delicious and
yeah.
indulgent. It's just the best nap that you will have. I also want to go back to a comment that Tina said about her near death experience. I was taken to another realm and was shown other realms, like a tour with the angels too.
That's
That
so
sounds so beautiful.
that's like so cool.
Honestly, can I go? Can I go on this tour?
Uh, I want to see it too.
That sounds like a blessing.
Yeah.
That sounds beautiful.
Well, oh, you're welcome, Betsy. Well, you guys, I think we're going to sign off here. Thank you so much for everyone's time for joining on this live stream. We'll be back on Tuesday evening, which is Wednesday morning our time. Okay? So, you guys, we're going to sign off here. And bye for now, you guys. Have a great day. Have a great night wherever you guys are. And talk to you soon. Okay? Bye,
Bye,
all.
everybody.